Welcome back, Ram fans. So I've had a little trouble on my second gen 1500 where whenever I'm trying to shift into gear, it doesn't really want to go into gear. And it's kind of odd because it sort of feels okay right now without the truck on or moving. So I don't know if that's an indicator of something wrong inside the transmission, or possibly just like motor mounts or transmission mounts not aligning the shift shafts correctly, or it could be the actual shift tower down inside here getting sloppy. And that's what I'm going to check out first. So I couldn't really find any good instructions anywhere on how to take this all apart, so I'm going to be kind of just winging it here. But obviously you got to remove the console. I see like a couple of screws here and there for that already, and I know we got to take the shift knob off. Had to put gloves on to better grip my knob. Yeah, this thing's being a pain in the ass. For some reason, this thing's being really tight here towards the end of getting it off. So I grabbed a strap wrench here. Makes turning it a lot easier. All right, knob's off. I guess the little nut inside there is a little loose, but this is a little strange. Some of the threads were coming off. Yikes. All right, now with the knob off, we can figure out how to pull the boot up off the shaft, which it looks like I have some screws to take off down here. Ah, there's two screws on the top side too. Now with the screws out, the boot should just pull up off the shaft. Make sure you don't lose these clips. It looks like they're practically falling off the console here. And in fact, this one's gone. I wonder if it's down in here somewhere. We gotta find that. And now we gotta figure out where all these other screws are. They're holding the little console on. There's another one under there. All right, taking these two screws out here, loosened up this side. I see that inside here, there's two more. All right, so the console is pretty loose now, but it's still obviously being held on this side over here. And I thought maybe there was screws underneath this little rubber thing, like over here on this side. So I pulled it up, but there's no screws in these holes here. What I found is, like, I think this thing just pops out like that. Rantoul Products Textron Inc. BR console, February 11th, 98 at 12:55. Inspector AB1 signed off on this. I love finding stickers like this. It's just amusing to me. And here we see our last two screws. Oh, and here's that missing clip. That's handy. Well, we have a little bit of a problem here. The heads of the screws aren't sticking up high enough from the plastic to actually get the socket on there. And it's the same on both sides here. So I'm just gonna have to drill it out. All right, well, that was a pain in the dick, but now that I got those last screws out, the console just lifts up and out of here. And now we have 6 screws here to get this other boot off. All right, now this ought to just lift off here. I guess it's a little stuck. Sticky, icky, icky. Oh, you know what? We need to get the shift shaft off. You know, it's nice taking things apart and finding stickers with part numbers on it. Good on you, Dodge. Now this nut is a 3/4, but it's being a bastard. So I might have to figure something else out. That's strange. Why is that being springy like that? This shaft should just spin off. Very strange. All right, here we go. Just had to give her a little bit more and it sprung it off. Now I thought this was a jam nut, but it looks like it's just part of the shifter. Very interesting. This is the kind of detail that I wish was documented somewhere. You know, I have the factory service manual for this truck, but it doesn't really say anything about taking this part of it apart. It has detailed instructions on the internal workings of the transmission itself, but not anything as simple as just getting this stuff off. Kind of funny. Now we should be able to just pull this boot up over this little thingy. And here we see the little sticky seal. We'll keep that right where it is. All right, and here's the shift tower, or sometimes called the shift assembly, or the shift lever assembly. I don't really know, it has a few different names. But to me, it feels like it's pretty tight. I don't know if my shifting problems are actually related to this, but we can go ahead and take it off and give it a better look. It's only held on by 4 bolts here. Yeah, I can smell the transmission oil already. So there was a lot of little dirts and little tiny rocks and stuff all around this thing. So before I got started taking the bolts out, I used my vacuum and cleaned all that stuff up. Because as soon as we take this off, the transmission is going to be exposed. And we definitely don't want any little rocks falling down in there. All right, 4 bolts are out, and she just lifts right off. Look at that. Not much to her, right? Yeah, and there you can see, there's the transmission right there. Everything's just in full view. And this part right here rides around in this little cup here, and that's what does the shifting. In fact, you can see the tops of your shift forks right there. Pretty cool. So I'm going to cover this thing with something real quick, and then we'll take this inside and have a better look at it. All right, so here's the little shift lever guy. This thing's surprisingly light, and I tried to clean this sticker up to try to get some numbers off of it. I took a couple of pictures before I started rubbing on it. Rubbing on it did nothing. Maybe I'll see something in the pictures, I don't know. I was actually having a hard time finding the correct replacement part. The numbers I found on the thingy itself weren't any help at all. And most of the listings I saw said they would work, but they were actually for the 94 to 97, and that doesn't work on the 98 to 2001s. It looks like the base of the shifter might be the same, but the top definitely isn't. I asked some Dodge experts, but they didn't really seem to know either. Eventually I found this page that has a nice exploded diagram, and it shows the shifter with a part number, and yikes at that price. But when I looked up that part number, it's actually for the NV4500, not the NV3500, which my truck has. And visually the shifters are different. But finally a fellow jerk put me on the line to the correct part. Now this Allstate gear place is the only place that seems to have the part, so I went ahead and ordered one, and I'll confirm fitment whenever it gets in, so stay tuned for that. But what's interesting is they also list the Mopar part number, and according to that, this is actually for the V6 version, but they both use the NV3500, so hopefully it's gonna work. Well, let's get back to tearing down the one that I took off the truck. It feels pretty darn tight. I mean, it's got a little bit of wiggle to it, but I don't know if that's my problem or not. Yeah, I can feel that little bit of wiggle. My little plastic cup has a little bit of wiggle too, if we can take it off. It was on there nice and tight. The ball looks okay. I guess the plastic looks okay too. I mean, might as well just go ahead and take this sticker off. It's done for. And remember when I was telling you about all the dirt that was around this thing? Whenever I pulled the seal here off, more dirt just went everywhere. I'm glad it didn't go into my transmission and just got all over my workbench instead. There's a number there. Hopefully you can read that. I don't really know what that means, but that might help cross-reference with something. Let's see if we can go ahead and take this thing apart further. This little rubber part should come off. Yeah, this boot just slides right off. I can feel a little bit of play in here, but yeah, I'm starting to think we're not going to find anything wrong in here, but let's just take it apart anyway, just to see how it looks inside. These are T25 Torx. As you can see here, this plate kind of popped up whenever I took the screws out. That's because it's kind of springy. These little tabs right here, they push down on these little springy shim thingies. These little plastic carriers just hold the shift lever in place, and they slide and glide in there. And these little things are really what wears out. You know what's funny is that according to Dodge, these things aren't serviceable. Like, you're supposed to just buy like a whole new thing, but really the only thing that's gonna wear out on these guys are these plastic bits. Now why can't you just buy this little plastic cup and these little plastic bushings and repair this thing yourself? Why do you have to buy the whole thing? Questions for the ages. Well, after getting in here and seeing how not exactly wore out this thing is, I'm starting to think it's not my problem, which is a big bummer because I really didn't want to have to tear into the transmission. Hopefully it's not the shift forks themselves. But hey, now you know how to get the shift tower assembly off the transmission, in case you ever have to replace yours. So I think for right now, I'm just gonna clean this thing up and get everything put back together and put it back on the truck and drive it a little bit more and just see if I have those issues anymore. Be sure to subscribe so you can follow along how I'm gonna continue troubleshooting this issue. And give us a thumbs up if you found this helpful at all. Bye, thanks for watching. See you next time.